At this point, Turji Kachala and his colleagues in banditry should surrender themselves from amnesty. If the issue of banditry in northern Nigeria arises anytime, one name rings a bell. That is Turji Kachala or Kachala. In the north of the country today, the scourge of banditry has gone out of control, or at least is almost at that point. And this state of affairs is because there are certainly numerous groups of the outlaws who are responsible for it. Also, they allegedly have some financiers behind the scene. As mentioned above, the name Turji Kachala stands out at the mere mention of banditry in northern Nigeria, and the bearer of his name is so notorious that he neither feels compassion for human lives, nor does he have the least respect for the government. He leads his boys in the crime of kidnapping, robbery, vandalism without any iota of remorse. And according to fact findings, he is so ruthless in crime that the locals of some communities in Zamfara and Sokoto reverend him like a deity. However, it has become obvious that with the rate at which Turji and other daredevil bandits are making life unbearable for the residents of Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Niger and Kaduna states, are determined to stop at nothing unless they are tamed. Meanwhile, Governor Matawale of Zamfara state has imposed some strict orders on the people of the state, but the bandit leader has sounded a strict warning to the people of the state that if they obey the governor's orders, they will face the consequences. Also, the Nigerian Communication Commission, on behalf of the federal government, ordered to cut off Zamfara state from having access to phone network. This is said to be an order to stop them from being able to communicate with one another and other people who might be their collaborators. From this, it can be seen that Turji Kachala and the other tormentors of the northern Nigerian residents are close to the end of their journey. This is because with the federal government's move, it is set to smoke them out of their forest hideouts or destroy all of them. As a result, it is an advice that they surrender themselves for amnesty before it is too late. Everything was going good and informative until that last sentence. You were doing so well. The author or the writer was doing so well until that last sentence. I mean, not even that he was doing well, but all he was saying was basically plastering the points that Nigerians already knew. But then the solution you give is that they should surrender. Excuse me. Facts. I don't know how to describe the problem. Is it that Nigerians do not react early enough? Of course, we're divided, so technically it is really up to... We're divided, it's true, we're already divided, and it's technically up to the northern people to call out their leaders, because really and truly, you're on your own until when you get to, the place of power, whoever is there that represents you will speak for you. I mean, that is the assumption. So yeah, the first red flag was negotiation. Second red flag, Shegumi. Red flag everywhere. From the moment, the key red flag that led to this moment, or that was the foundation that birthed what is happening right now in Zamfara State, is the word negotiation. It's negotiation. Why is the government negotiating? Why did they think that would be a solution? Why should negotiate? I mean, as a government, when you negotiate, you should give your power away. Why are you negotiating? Because if you are ruling that land, you do have the right and authority to protect the people there, and whoever is going to come against that, you have the right to go against them as well, and by the rules of the land, because we know how they love to manipulate things to suit themselves. Why can't they do the same for the good of the people, to get these bandits arrested and persecuted? However, you negotiate and say, when you negotiate, then the bandits start giving their terms and what they want, and of course we have civilians who are poor, they have no connection, so of course the government, to seem good, would then yield to such suggestions or terms of the negotiation, because the power is not with them anymore. So yeah, that's basically what happens. And now this. So that was the first red flag, and I guess there wasn't an uproar or reaction as that you're going to negotiate with bandits. Does that make sense? So again, I think the people themselves, they let that slide, and really and truly, harsh, it is their fault. But again, it's like we can't be surprised with people that have been through Boko Haram and stuff. The mentality has changed. A lot of things are hindering them from actually questioning a lot of things, and you can't really say it's their fault. Lack of education, the culture itself, the manipulation of religion. So again, no one is holding the leaders accountable. So what is going on now? The government is going to have to face it. Unfortunately, the people also have to face it. But it gets to a point where, I don't know, different experiences, different strokes for different folks. People live very different lives and perspectives are very different. So you can't really say because of the way you see things and the way you think logically in terms of how you prefer solutions to certain things. Another person may just not even go there because the main thing on their mind is to be safe. And because they're not safe, they don't think of anything else. So yeah, it is a lot to unpack. Very much complex things, complex ideologies, complex causes. But really, actually, the solution is there. We are not under-equipped. Well, in terms of how we're selling ourselves out to external and international debt, I guess we are under-equipped. But in terms of what we have and what we can manufacture from our raw materials, we are not at a disadvantage at all. The real question is, do we actually own those materials? Which is another conversation for another day. But yeah, as people, I mean, again, the best solution, in my opinion, I think, which is time saving, which is more effective, and maybe achievable. I don't know. Is to separate the country. To be honest, the country's foundations in which it was made is just really bad. The country was founded on corruption, founded on terrorism, founded on extortion, on rape, on all the worst things that you can find, on abuse, on so many things. So why are we surprised that this is the way we're going? Listen, the conquered act like the conquerors. Listen, I know that our history is obviously well before slavery and colonization and all that, but we cannot deny the impact that 400 plus years of slavery and plus colonialism has added. There's a shift in culture, shift in perspective. 400 years plus. How many generations? How many generations is that? How many? So you can't fault that at the core of our being and transformation. Or what would you even say? How would you even describe it? At the core of our being, in terms of how we're meant to be progressing and be refined and keep refining, we are moving backwards. And then selfishness, greed, the human nature comes into it, and then it's a whole equation of frustration. And then the poor is getting poorer, the rich is getting richer, and it's where we find ourselves today. So if you're an anomaly, you are an anomaly. Be grateful that you are an anomaly, because an average Nigerian, sad. But the conversation has gone a different way, and it has gone a different way because these are the conversations that we should be having, and such that I hope to see in the comment section. People, I think, and don't forget to like and subscribe.